Hello everyone, my name is Mike and I am the co-founder of the Wanda Pratnika Center. The podcast today is a detailed description of a phenomenon called summoning spirits. It's about the seances, about Ouija boards and all of it. There are people who have real reasons to do that and the most don't understand the risk. And some find out the hard way that opening that door is a lot easier than closing it. The most understandable reason of all is grief. When someone who we love dearly dies, we want to know if they are no longer in suffering. And knowing that helps with another fear too, namely if they are okay, then there is a probability that we are going to manage well too. Death just always interrupts things like wills, instructions, decisions that were never talked about. And sometimes even the spirit itself is still attached to one of those things. And it's already trying to reach the living. It can do it through dreams, sounds, objects that are being moved, or just thoughts that are popping up in your head. The third reason could be money, like a wealthy relative dies and the family is looking all around the house. Sometimes people are even tearing the walls down in order to find savings. Often they cannot find anything, and that is because the spirit died and still was holding on to its belongings, and it won't let anyone near it. We have seen families that are spending years looking for that money. The only way that the spirit is just letting go of it is when it decides on its own that it doesn't need those things anymore. And the fourth reason is entertainment. And that's the place where everything goes wrong. Sometimes we're being asked to perform summoning spirits. And that's the moment where I always get into my mind a picture of a barn that is full of hay and with matches. And I see kids that are playing in the barn with matches. People who summon spirits for fun, they do not think about consequences, and they are severe and they can last a whole life. Generally, it is pretty easy to summon spirits, but it's very, very difficult to make them to leave. And if you summon a spirit and he is not available because he already passed higher and is on the path of his evolution, then hundreds are coming to replace him. A medium that is partially trained to deal with spirits, it is spending years on removing the spirits from her or himself. And someone who is doing this for fun has no idea how to do that. And the moment the channel is open, it stays open. A medium and a spirit, they treat each other with respect, and that changes everything. But when someone is treating spirits like a party game, the spirit responds exactly the same way. And something like that can ruin your life. And here are real life examples. In a military unit, many men have decided to summon spirits for fun. 1/3 of them ended up in a hospital. Later on, many of them were moved to a psychiatric clinic. And this was years ago, and there are still men staying in that psychiatric hospital. A religion teacher has gotten excited about the idea of teaching his pupils summoning spirits. And the consequences were not as difficult as with the soldiers, but still very, very severe. The effects never fully went away. The priest has died in the meantime, and we wish to know what he was thinking when he was deciding to do that. There is another story about a group of teenagers who were playing summoning spirits at school. And then later on, for more fun and excitement, they moved to a cemetery. and there they have completely lost control. They have started to destroy the graves. And it was a very difficult case because the cemetery was full of furious spirits who have expected to rest there for the rest of their lives until Judgment Day. And also there were spirits who were attacking a girl of that group sexually, and so she couldn't even run home. And these attacks continued long after that spirit summoning. And so we were cleansing them, and luckily we have been successful in the end with all of them. But what if they haven't found us? This story is about a group of wealthy business people who in the evenings have started doing seances for fun. And after a time, a spirit showed up claiming to be one of the women's great-great-grandmother and told them that the family was cursed. And as the consequence of that curse, their son would die if he falls asleep. And that woman believed that story. So they have immediately gotten into the car and have driven for a very far distance to the university of their son. It was in the night and they were pouring water onto them in order not to fall asleep. That story plays many years ago when my wife Wanda was still seeing people at her home, and they showed up at the door at around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and they were frozen and they were panicking. My wife immediately put the boy to bed, and he was asleep in seconds. That moment, the parents, of course, became hysterical, so my wife had to calm them down, and the boy woke up perfectly fine without any damage. It is, of course, not really possible to say what suffering the parents went through by believing the spirit's story. Many people are thinking that the spirits are beings that are having a certain unusual powers. They can look into the unknown, they can look into higher dimensions of light, and most of that is just not true. Especially it is not true for some very unusual things. What you absolutely need to do is that a person doesn't change when they die. They take everything with them, their fears, their habits, their blind spots, and their limited knowledge. Sometimes it may appear really wondrous for people who are in touch with a spirit like that. They can, for example, know things they haven't known before, like if there was a spirit who was learning a lot during his lifetime, like if he was trained in esoteric arts when he was studying lots of text, then he can transfer that knowledge onto the human being. However, this is still book knowledge. This is not applied knowledge in most cases. This is not wisdom as sometimes people would like to have it. This is just words. One thing the spirits can is to see the thoughts of the participants of spiritual seances. They can just sense emotions and they can look at the thoughts. So if the spirits are answering any questions to the participants, they are only giving the answer that is already in the participant's head. And they are very, very smart. They are very much interested in being close to human beings because they are just taking our energy. So there is a huge motivation for the spirits to be at spirit summoning, but they are not telling us wisdom. They are telling us only what they know will land, and that is something from inside your head. And therefore that is just manipulation. And people at the seances, they treat those answers as truth. only because they are coming from the other side. The only instance that knows the truth is God. So do never ask spirits. Try not to ask people. Ask God. Ask from your innermost heart, and then you will get the answer sooner or later. So always remember, the spirits who are showing up at seances are not the wise and peaceful dead. They are the ones who were having great difficulties in living. They are very, very much in error, and they are suffering greatly. So you are attracting to yourself souls who are in great suffering currently. And they are most cases not your friend and not your guide. They are in most cases not even that which they are saying they are. They are just the ones who were at that certain moment of time available. And available in this case means not a good sign. This is going to cause you suffering and pain. So, next time, I hope after hearing this, you will decide to stay away of the excitement that in the end brings you to harming yourself. I would like to end here and wish you a very, very ghost-free life. And if there is anything, please don't hesitate to contact us. Until next podcast, I say bye-bye.